Hi there and welcome to Penguin Learning. In this National 4 Maths lesson, we will be looking at averages and how we can calculate an average from a set of data. After this lesson, you'll be familiar with the different types of averages and in particular the mean, the median and the mode, and you will also know when it's best to use each of these three different averages. And finally, as always, we will go over a few examples to cement our knowledge and understanding on the topic of averages in this video. So, let's get started.
Ooh la la!
So in the last lesson, where we were talking about frequency tables and the range of a set of data, we learned that it's useful to analyse our data and use statistics to tell us more information about it. Because if we're gathering results in an experiment and we have many of these results, we want to process them in some way so that we can come up with conclusions and establish results. And in this lesson, we will be continuing on this by looking at something that is really useful in statistics, and that is known as averages. And averages are used to tell us the typical value of a set of data. So basically, if we've collected lots of results for a specific task, then we can use averages to tell us what the typical value of this set of data would be. Now here's an example to get us started with averages. We've been told that Dave has bought 7 packets of crisps, and the number of crisps in each packet were as follows. So here is the number of crisps in each of the 7 packets that Dave bought. So the first one, there was 20 crisps, then 19, 18, 19, 21, 20 and 19. And maybe it might be our job to find out the average number of crisps in each packet. But first, how do we actually calculate the average? And in fact, when we are dealing with statistics, there is actually 3 ways of calculating an average of a set of data. And these are the mean, the median and the mode. And in this lesson, we will be looking over each 3 of these ways in turn and seeing when they can be useful. So we're going to apply each 3 of these ways of calculating the average to this example that we have here. And the first one that we're going to be looking at is the mean. Now the mean is probably the most common way of finding out an average, and the way that we calculate the mean of a set of data would be to add all of the numbers together, and then we divide this total by the amount of numbers there are. So let's do this as an example. So the first thing that we want to do is add all of these numbers together. So we would have 20 plus 19 plus 18 plus 19 plus 21 plus 20 and then a final 19. So if we add all these up and put it into a calculator, the total would be equal to 136. So now that we have the total, when calculating the mean, what we have to do now is divide the total by the amount of numbers there are. And for the amount of numbers, I'm just going to call this n. So how many numbers do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of course it's 7 because in our question it says that Dave bought 7 packets of crisps, and each of these numbers represents the amount of crisps in each packet. So that means that n would be equal to 7. Now to calculate the mean, we do 136 divided by 7, and if we enter that into our calculator, we might get an answer of 19.43. So that's what we get for the mean value for this set of data. But because we're dealing with crisps and a crisp is a real life object, it doesn't really make sense to say that the average number of crisps is 19.43 crisps. So what we would do, and maybe an example like this, is just round this to the nearest whole number. So because 19.43 is nearer 19 than 20, then we could just say also that the mean would be equal to 19 crisps, to the nearest whole number of crisps. So again, to calculate the mean, what we do is add all of the numbers together that we have, and then we divide this total by the amount of numbers that we have. So in this case, the amount of things that we had was 7. So we had 136 divided by 7, and that gave us 19.43. But because we can't really have a decimal, because there's no really such thing as 0.43 of a crisp, well, unless you have half a crisp in the bag, which most of the time we do, but just assuming that we all have whole crisps, we're going to round this to the nearest whole number, and that gave us an answer, a mean value of 19. So the next way of calculating an average we're going to look at is called the median. And the median, coming from its name medium, means that we're going to essentially calculate the middle number in a set of data. And that means that in order to calculate the median, we have to look at each one of these numbers and put them in an order from smallest to biggest, and then see which number lies in the middle. So let's do that right now. So what I did there was I colour coded each one of the numbers that we had, so 18, 19, 20 and 21, and then I rewrote this out so that we had the smallest number at the left hand side and then the biggest number at the right, so they're getting bigger and they're in order. And it means now, since we have it in this order, we can identify what the middle number is, or the median. And actually the way that we do this, how we find the middle number, is different depending on how many numbers that we have in this sequence. So basically, if we have an odd number of results, then the median would just simply be the middle number. And if we have an even number of results, then the median is halfway between the two central numbers. So I'll show you what this means right now. So we said that we have 7 packets of crisps, which means we have 7 results. So that means we have an odd amount of results. And if that's the case, we can find the middle number. So the way I do this is just by circling off numbers at either end. So that's the far left and far right. Then we move in again to the left and right. We keep going, and then doing it this way makes it easy to identify that this here, 19, is the middle number, because we have 3 numbers to this side and 3 numbers to this side as well. And because 19 was the middle number, then the median is just simply equal to 19. But just quickly, I also want to show you how we calculate the median of an even number of results, so we're going to forget about this at the moment. So we're going to have a look at this set of results and calculate the median of it. So again, the same as the last time, the first thing that we have to do is rearrange this set of results so that they're in order from the smallest number to the biggest number. So now we've did that, the next step is to calculate how many numbers that we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 results. So that means that we have an even set of results. So to calculate the median of this set of results, we have to calculate the middle 2 numbers or identify where they are. And we can see here the middle 2 numbers are 16 and 18 because we have 4 numbers to this side and 4 numbers to this side. And then what we do to calculate the median is find the number which is halfway between 16 and 18. So what we can do to calculate that, we could have a number line and we have 16 and 18, and we know that the number in between them is 17. So that means that 17 would be the median for this set of data. Or another way that we could calculate it, if it might not be this simple, would be to add 2 of the middle numbers together and then divide it by 2. So that would be equal to 34 divided by 2, and we get the same answer as 17. So that's how we can calculate the median for an even set of results. So the final way of calculating an average we'll be looking at is called the mode. And the mode is just simply the number which occurs the most in the set of results. And the way I'm going to calculate which number occurs the most often is just by colouring in each of the different numbers. And it's easy to see here that 19 would be the mode, because we can see that 19 occurs 3 times, and 20, for example, only occurs twice, and 18 and 21 only occur once each. So that would mean that for this set of results, the mode is equal to 19. And it's just worth quickly noting that if you're asked to calculate the mode for a set of results, it's very possible to have more than one mode. So let's say, for example, in this case we had 19 occur 3 times, but let's say we also had one more 20 in this set of results, then that would mean that 20 also occurs 3 times. So that would mean that this set of results would have a mode of both 19 and 20 if we had one more 20. But in this case, we only have one number that occurs 3 times, so that means the mode is equal to 19. But it's just worth bearing that in mind, that if we have 2 numbers that occur the same amount of time, then it's very possible for both of them to be the mode. So now I'm just going to quickly touch on when would be the best time to use the mean, the median and the mode when we're dealing with a specific set of data. So looking first at the mean. And the mean is typically best for any normal distribution that we have. And an example of a normal distribution would be the average of a class test result. And if we imagine the class test is out of a possible high score of 30, that means that every result is going to occur in between 0 and 30. So all of our results fall in this scale. And because of that, because it's restricted to both 0 and 30 as a minimum and maximum, then this would just be a normal distribution. And for something like this, then the mean is the best way to measure the average of these results. But when we have skewed distributions, for example, calculating the average UK salary, it might be best to use the median as a mean of calculating the average. And the reason that the average UK salary might be a skewed distribution is because you could imagine that most people in the UK would be earning roughly around 20,000 to 30,000 each year, and they would fall within this category on our scale. But you might get the odd few people that will make millions in a year, and what that will do is then if we took the average, for example, it would skew our results, and that would mean that because we have these few outliers that are so much bigger compared to what most people are making, it would make the mean occur a lot higher than the average should be. But if we do the median for an example, because the median is the middle number, then it can neglect these few outliers and it will only focus on those that are in the majority. So if we have a case like this where our scale is pretty much endless and we have outlying results that we have to take into consideration, such as people making millions or billions, then the median would be the best result to calculate the true average of what the average UK salary would be. And finally, it would be best to use the mode when we require the most common item, and the example I've just given here is the average amount of spider legs. So we all know that a spider typically has 8 legs, and saying that would mean most spiders that we come across would indeed have 8 legs. However, there might be the odd spider which only has 7 legs because maybe it had an accident, one fell off, whatever the reason. But the key thing is there might be the odd rare occasion where a spider doesn't have 8 legs. But if we were to take the mean or the median for this example, it wouldn't make sense to take this into consideration when calculating the average of the amount of legs a spider has. It would make sense to have the most common item be the average, and because we know that most spiders would have 8 legs, then it would be appropriate to use the mode. In other words, you pick the number which occurs the most, and because we know that a spider mostly has 8 legs, then it would be sensible to choose the mode when figuring out this type of average. So we're going to end this lesson by one final example, and we've been asked to find the mean, the median and the mode for this series of numbers. So for part A, we have to find out the mean, and to do that, the first thing that we have to do is add all of these numbers together, and after we've did that, we get an answer of 1 to 8. And now what we have to do is figure out how many numbers that we have. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. And then to get the mean, what we do is divide the total amount divided by the amount of numbers, and that gives us an answer of 16. So that means for part A, the mean is equal to 16. So now for part B, we've been asked to figure out the median for this set of results, and the first thing that we have to do for that is rearrange these numbers so that they go from the smallest number to the largest. So now they're in order. We have 8, 12, 12, 14, 17, 19, 21 and 25. And because we have an even set of numbers, because we have 8 numbers, to get the median we have to find the middle 2 numbers and get the halfway point between them. So we can see here that 14 and 17 are the middle 2 numbers because we have 3 numbers to either side of them. And to get the halfway point, we just simply do 14 plus 17 divided by 2, and that gives us an answer of 15.5. So that means that the median is equal to 15.5. And then finally for part C, to calculate the mode, we have to look at which number occurs the most often. And we can just simply see that because 12 occurs twice, and that's the more often than any other number, then for this set of data, the mode is just equal to 12. So we can see here for the mean, the median and the mode, we all got different answers for each of them. And because that's the case, it's important to know when would be the best to use each one for different situations. So let's recap what we discussed in this lesson. We've said that when we're dealing with a set of data, averages can be used to tell us the typical value within that data. And there are 3 ways of calculating an average. First of all, we have the mean, the median and then the mode. The mean is the most common way of calculating the average, and to do this we simply add all the numbers together and divide by the total amount of numbers. The median is just simply the middle number of the set of data, and the way we calculate this is to put all the numbers in order from smallest to biggest and identify the number in the middle. And finally, the mode is just the number which occurs most often within the data set. So I hope this lesson on averages has been helpful to you, and if that's been the case, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to ask any questions on this video, just drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you'd like to see more content like this, you can head over to our website at penguin-learning.com and subscribe to the channel for more future National 4 Maths videos. As always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.